interesting one. Thank you very much, Sandeep. Start.
Yeah, today, good morning to all present here and our respected speaker, Dr. Samir Parekh. Today is a very auspicious day. Today is the International Women Day. On this auspicious day, we are very fortunate to have Dr. Parekh among us, who will be speaking on a very interesting topic and very important topic, identifying strengths and competencies to create value. Before I hand over to Sir, let me briefly say about this institute, because I can't help but talking about my institute. Calcutta Business School is an unit of 100 years old Sikshayatan Foundation. We are offering 2 years full-time autonomous PGDM program affiliated by AICTE, and as a part of the curriculum, we give emphasis on developing students' strengths holistically, not only from theoretical perspective, but also from industrial perspective. So as an integral part, we often conduct these important webinars with industry stalwarts to expose our students, to allow our students to learn from their experiences. And as a part of that, this is a series that we are conducting regularly. We are fortunate to have Dr. Samir Parekh among us. A brief introduction of Dr. Parekh. Dr. Samir Parekh is one of the first serial entrepreneurs in India who started and sold 3 companies. Having a background of CA where he stood 31st in intermediate, Dr. Parekh has a distinguished career of more than 3 decades. Starting with the role of an accountant and audit, Dr. Parekh switched over to sales and then moved into L&D. During his long journey, he has led several functional areas such as auditing, accounts, finance, sales, L&D, administration, technical projects, quality management systems at top management positions in reputed organizations like Lovelock and Lewis, Standard Chrome, Usha Martin, Tecna Digital Services, Kanika Infotech Limited, Apex Infoway Private Limited, Kotak Life Insurance, Edelweiss Tokyo Life Insurance, to name a few. Presently, he is an astute management consultant and industrial trainer in the areas of sales and training, skills and behavior training, trainers, training need analysis, training management, managing vendors, mapping training to business results, enhancing productivity through coaching, leading STEM, and presently he is leading STEM Matrix Private Limited as a co-founder and CEO. His active interest is in serial entrepreneurship to create products and sell them, as well as the IPR and consultancy, and he enjoys working with people and developing them to their fullest potential. I am sure that our students will learn immensely from your talk, sir. Now, without any delay, it's my privilege and honor to hand over the session to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Biswas. So let us start this session. I always start this session with this particular invocation from the Taittiriya Upanishad. So let us please start. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu, ma vitvishavahay. Aum Shanti Shanti Shanti. The invocation, the meaning of the invocation, friends, is present on the PPT itself. Learning has a very interesting paradigm. The learning paradigm that we learn in today's world is far. We have a far deeper connotation to learning when we go back to the Upanishads. So in the Upanishads, the learning happened through 3 stages. The first part was called Shravanan. Shravanan meant to be able to listen. Now, listening is a whole chapter in itself, and we will talk about that. The second was introspection or reflection, Mananan. And the third was called Nididhyasan, which meant application. So the student would first listen carefully, he would reflect, he would have a dialogue with the teacher, and then he would apply and come back and have a dialogue again. Now, this is the process of learning. and you can't get away. I did my PhD in learning and development, and I realized that our rishis had got it right even then. So we needed to possibly relearn that entire process of how this works. So as we carry on from here, and unfortunately, I am not in control of the presentation, so I will have to keep talking and telling Mr. Biswas to please move to the next slide. So Mr. Biswas.
Sir,
I think you are frozen.
no. Students, can you see the screen? Students, can you see the screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Yes,
Father Biswas, it is visible.
Is it showing identifying and strengths and competencies?
Identifying strengths and competencies to create value.
Yes,
Right.
okay, thank you. Okay, now few rules. There is a conversation tab that is available. My request is that if there are any questions that you are immediately while we are talking, while we have this conversation going on, number one, obviously, I would like everybody to be on mute so that there is no feedback. The second is, if you have a doubt, if you have a question, if you have an insight, or if you have a comment, and please understand, the process is Sravanam, Mananan, Nididhyasan. So if you do not agree with something that is being said, we are more than happy to have dialogue, because dialogue will increase your and my knowledge. So what I'm going to do is request all of you to keep the conversation chat box open and keep typing your comments. We will address all of them. Second, administration logistics. The first thing is that we will break this up into two parts or two sessions. At about 11:45, between 11:45 and 50, we will take a 5-minute break just for you to get up from your chairs, stretch yourselves, rather at least for me to get up from my chair, stretch myself, and we come back and do another 45 minutes. So that is how the session will be. So let's start. The next slide, please. So, big question. What do we do after graduation? When I say graduation, I'm talking of graduation from this particular course of PGDBM that you have taken up. And what do you want to do? Now, there's three options, right? Assuming that you want to create value, then there are only three options. If you don't want to create value, well, there are many options, possibly many hundreds of options available, but the value can be created through three options. One, that I get into a job. Two, I get into some business. Or three, I go in for further studies. Now, what is it that I should do? What is it that is important for me? So if we can go ahead, you will see that my answer to that is very simple. My answer to that in the next slide is given as the fact that after graduation, one needs to be able to understand what is reality. So if Mr. Biswas can move to the next slide, you will see that the next slide tells you what is reality. In today's world, the reality, Mr. Biswas? Sanjeev Babu?
Sanjeev?
Yeah, it's been changed. Sanjeev Babu, I think we will have to have a little faster response time, because you might ask your IT persons how to do this, because the way I'm talking and the slides, if they don't match, the students are not going to really enjoy the session.
Sir, continue.
Yeah, just a second. I am going to try to see if I can move back to being a presenter myself. can people see my screen?
Yes, yes.
No, this is Sanjeev's screen. This is not my screen.
Okay.
The presentation has vanished. I don't know what is happening.
Sanjeev, your microphone is muted.
Sir, I have stopped sharing because you said that you will be present again. If you say again, I am sharing my screen.
না 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 আপনি একটু থামুন, আপনি এখন একটু থামুন 1 সেকেন্ড।
হ্যাঁ,
এখন কি আমার স্ক্রিন দেখা যাচ্ছে?
না স্যার, আপনার স্ক্রিনটা আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি না।
ঠিক আছে, আপনি আপনার স্ক্রিন থেকেই চলুন।
আপনি পেয়েছেন ম্যাডাম? আমি পাঠিয়ে দিই। আচ্ছা, একটা আপনি বাইরে আছেন না? আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে গিয়ে পাঠিয়ে দিই। ওকে ওকে।
Dr. Don, you need to be on mute, please.
Yes.
Sir, can you?
So yes. আমি দেখতে পাচ্ছি। So now coming back to what we were talking about. So what is the reality? The reality is that it doesn't matter. So Sanjeev Babu, I cannot keep telling you to keep changing the slide. So you will have to follow what I am saying and you will have to keep clicking, because আমি যদি প্রত্যেকটা লাইনের পরে আপনাকে বলি প্লিজ ক্লিক, তাহলে আমারও ফ্লো থাকবে না এবং স্টুডেন্টসরাও এনজয় করতে পারবে না। So the reality is that it actually doesn't matter. কারণ let us look at it this way. আমি একটা রিকোয়েস্ট করছি, সঞ্জীব বাবু, let us put the presentation off. প্রেজেন্টেশনটাকে বন্ধ করে দিন। প্রেজেন্টেশনটাকে বন্ধ করে দিন। হ্যাঁ, এবার আমি friends, those of you who are in this meeting, please keep your notebooks and pads ready. The presentation will be made available to you. I also request everybody to be on mute. I'm getting a lot of feedback. যারা যারা মিউটে নেই তারা প্লিজ নিজেদের মিউট করুন।
All of you please mute yourself. All of you please mute yourself while sir is talking. While sir is talking, all of you please mute yourself. Okay, so let me start and let me re-continue from where we were. So basically, what is it that is the reality? The reality is it doesn't matter. আমি চাকরি করব। Okay, sorry, everybody understands Bengali, right? Some few students are there who doesn't understand Bengali.
Okay, so if I move into Bengali at points of time and somebody has not understood, please please write on the chat box that I have not understood. So the reality is that it really doesn't matter. Chakri korbo, business jabo, should I go and study and once more? Sorry, I need everybody on mute, please.
Everybody is muted, sir. Please continue.
I think you also need to be on mute, Sanjeev Babu. Yep. So now the point is that what really matters? If being in a job doesn't matter, if being in business doesn't matter, if going for further studies doesn't matter, then what matters? What matters is, can I create value in whatever I do? chakri korleo, whether I do it, whether I'm in service, whether I'm in business, whether I'm studying further. The question is, can I create value? Now, for that, it is important for us to understand the difference between values and value. When I say values, the word values, the values are the principles that we lead our lives by. They are some, okay, they are basic concepts, right? So to the students here, there is a question, and please give your answers on the chat box. Give me some examples of values. I'm going to pause for a minute and ask you, give me some examples of values. On the chat box, please don't unmute yourselves, because if you unmute, there are other people who will unmute, and then there is a lot of noise that comes back as a feedback. So I'm waiting for people on the chat box to tell me as to what values in terms of product or service. That's value. Yes, I'm asking for values. When I say values, what is the can you give me some examples? Simran gave a very good answer, but that's not the correct answer. Others, please. That's okay. Yes, you may be having some value. I am asking for values. Values are principles that we lead our lives by. Can you think of some? Think of some values. Yes, Trinity Das, you have come up with some very interesting values. Yes, you are right. Loyalty, commitment. Any other? Any other? Value is what we read and get from some motivational: dedication, patience, respect, continuity, sharing thought process, positivity. Pritha Sarkar, if Swami Vivekananda had come to know that he is a motivational leader, he would have possibly jumped into the ocean. But then I am happy that you find him motivational. Joyfulness, Nilam, very good and interesting. Kindness, yes, these are excellent values. These are principles that we live our life by, right? Great. Value and values are different. Values: honesty, integrity, fairness, accountability. These are the essential values. Some of them you have given here. Joyfulness. I was doing some consulting work with a company which is very famous. They have, their initials are TAJ, and they say T stands for trust, A stands for adaptability, and J stands for joy. And that is what we live by. So that's the entire motto or the process of how Taj works. So similarly, the basis or the principles that we live by as an organization or as an individual, that is what is called values. Essentially, if the values don't match, whether it's your new further studies, whether it's the business that you are starting off with, or the family business that you are joining, or the job that you are doing, if the values don't match ultimately, then somewhere or the other, divorce is going to happen. Maybe not initially. Initially, both people will try to adjust to each other. They will try to match each other. But somewhere or the other, if the values, the core values, the principles by which you live have not tallied, then there is going to be some problem. Now, so we have understood values. Now, what do values actually do? Why do we need values? Why is it important that an organization or a human being needs to have a certain set of values? Anybody? Why do we need to have values? Why can't I say, I don't care. I mean, I will just live my life the way as it flows. Essentially, even that is a value, but then that's a very fluid sort of value. Why is it necessary that we have values? Anybody, please? To grow, okay? Ragni Kumari says to grow, to develop, okay? Any other? Values help us to build relationships. Actually, thank you, Simran. It's not building relationships. Any relationship, existence of a relationship itself needs values. If the two values don't coincide, don't have an overlap, in mathematical language, if they have no intersection, then without that, it is not possible for us to be in society. So societal interaction is possible only with a presumption that there are values with which we live by. Now, let us move from values to value. Now I'm using a different term. I'm saying value. Now, what is value? What is the meaning of value? Give me a generic definition of value. So, Ahana, you have said that ensure discipline in life, and by discipline a company can achieve. This is values, right? This is the Mula Tattva. This is the foundation. But I am talking now of value. So when we say value, what do we mean by value? Simran, wonderful. Can I have other people other than Simran giving me answers? Simran, I love the fact that you are responding. And yes, you are right. Value is measured in the terms of the results we produce. Okay, it's not about money. It's not about money only, Nidhi. We may measure it in terms of money later on, but it's not about money. So basically, if I say I have X effort and I get Y result, then Y minus X is equal to value. That is the concept of value. So value has to have an outcome. So without an outcome, value cannot be measured. So it's not importance, Ritu. It's about the difference between how much I am getting against what am I putting in. So, for example, and I'm using an example here in terms of whatever we are doing right now in terms of our session right now. Now, you are putting in an effort, I am putting in an effort. And if both of us, out of this effort, we don't get anything back, and that what we get back is not greater than the effort that we put in, then we will not do this consistently, right? We will say, oh, vapas fir kyon kare? Again, I have to sit here for 1.5 hours, listen to somebody who's going to talk blah, 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 blah. So it doesn't make sense for me. Now, that's because I do not see value. So, yes, Dr. Bhattacharya, it is the relationship in financial terms, we call it cost benefit. But in larger sociological terms, we call it the relationship between effort and result. Now, if we move from there, so people only see results. Please understand this, friends. You will launch into your careers after as you graduate. After you graduate, this is very real life anecdote, right? I call up. I have been to Pune recently, and from Pune, while I was deciding to come back, I called up the Uber driver, and I asked him, "Aap kahan hai?" And his answer is, "Sir, रास्ते में बहुत traffic है." Now, I'm not interested, right? I am interested to know what time will he reach. Now, whether he has to push his car, whether he has to push other cars away from the road, whether he has to drive fast, whether he has to strain his legs because he has to keep on doing clutch brake. Who's bothered? I'm not interested. So I am interested in what? Result. I am not interested in the effort. But unfortunately, so therefore, you know what? In chapter 2, verse 47 of the Gita says, Karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetu bhuhu ma te sangos tvakarmani. Anybody knows the meaning of this? Karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetur bhuhu ma te sangos tvakarmani. Anybody knows the meaning? Very famous verse. Okay, Simran is saying no. Anybody else? Okay, somebody has unmuted, but okay. Okay, a lot of no. Very interesting. Friends, it doesn't. Okay, somebody please, whoever is unmute, please mute yourself. Yeah, good. Okay, friends, you are studying in a management school, and believe me, and this is not to take away anything from what Dr. Don and his entire.
Myself, I can tell you, it means
Yes.
you should not depend upon the fruits. You should work. I mean, a gardener plants his tree. I mean, the takes his tree for that purpose, but is not concerned whether the tree bears fruit or not. That means, I mean, you should not think of the tree of the fruit, but you should work that the tree should be in a position like that. Karmanne bhadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. So it's not the of the price which you are getting out of that. You work for it, but don't think of getting it in that. Even if it doesn't come to you, don't get upset. Your work is worship.
Okay. Who was this? I didn't get the.
Myself, Dr. Pinaki Ranjan Bhattacharya.
Okay, Dr. Bhattacharya. So you are very nice. Thank you very much. See, people have misinterpreted this particular verse by saying you have the right to action, you do not have the right for the fruits, because the word adhikar seems to mean right. But the reality is the word adhikar does not mean right. I will challenge any one of you to go to a government office. If you go to a government office, you will see people's designations. So you will see somebody called Vitta Adhikari, meaning finance controller, Vanijya Adhikari, meaning commercial controller, Lekha Adhikari, accounts controller, Adhikari, controller, Adhikar, control. So what is he saying? He's saying you have control over input only. You have control over input only. Results are not in your control. So being anxious about result is counterproductive, because then your mindset is only focused on the output and not on the input. So in chapter 2, verse 47, he very clearly says, Karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. And then the next line, he says very clearly, ma karma phala hetu bhuhu ma te swangostva karmani. Attach yourself to the action, not to the result, because the result is an output. It will happen. To be very gross, and I actually was telling, I was consulting with a particular group of people and in sales, and this manager kept on talking about saying, "Tu kitna karega, kitna karega, kitna karega." You hammer, kitna karega. There's no talk about what are the inputs required for getting the sales. So I actually told them, let us all go on a fast for 3 days and then let's see how much we shipped. I'm sorry to use this example, but after a 3-day fast, you can't have anything coming out. No input is equal to no output. So it is very important for us to understand that the input has to be there. So next phrase in the Bhagavad Gita itself, in chapter 2, verse 50, he says very clearly, Tasmad yogaya yujyasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. He says that yoga karmasu kaushalam, expertise in action. Whatever you are doing, you have to do your best. Whether I'm doing my job, whether I'm doing my business, or whether I'm doing my further studies, am I doing my best? Believe me, if you can't take anything away from this lecture, if you take this one away and say that every day at night, I will lie down and look at my own balance sheet for the day and say, today I did my best, your life will change. You will see a glorious life. If nothing else, you will continuously be seeing a satisfaction in the way in which you are working. So, big question, are we doing our best? Now, the point is, how will I know I'm doing my best, because I don't even know what I'm good at? I'm only a student. I'm doing my PGDBM or whatever, I'm doing something. I don't know what I'm good at. How will I know what should I do? How can I do my best? Change an attitude. You see, I keep talking about the Bhagavad Gita because the Bhagavad Gita to me is a management book. It is a religious book. It is it's a spiritual book, but more importantly, it is one of the best personal management books that I have ever come across. And when we look at that, you look at Arjuna. Arjuna was not taught how to shoot an arrow better. He learned that from Dronacharya. What happened is the attitude with which he went into the war changed because of the lecture from Sri Krishna. So it is a change in attitude. So it's not about saying, oh, I don't know what I can do best. It's about saying, you know what, people generally ask me, a lot of people say, you know, you are so fortunate. You are doing what you love. And I keep telling them, no, somewhere my attitude changed. And I now say, I love whatever I do. Friends, that's a very big change in attitude. And I went through what you are doing right now. Oh, I don't love mathematics. I don't love sales. I don't love quant. I don't love language. It doesn't matter. Can I change my attitude and say, whatever I do it as if that's my lover? 100% attention. See, when we are in love and when we take our date out, nothing disturbs us, right? So there's traffic and there is noise and there is pollution and possibly you're inside a movie hall in the date and you don't even know what's happening in the movie because your attention is on your date. That is called being in love. Can I profess that in everything that I do? That's a major change in attitude. So again, what matters? The first thing, have you set a goal for yourself? Again, when you set a goal, typically people will talk to you about goals, and I'm sure your professors have spoken to you about the SMART goals and how goals have to be determined in terms of saying that you must have a goal which is specific. SMART goals are specific, measurable. I normally change this A and R. So I don't say attainable, I say I'm going to be accountable for that particular goal. R, it is result oriented, and T, time bound. So S, specific, M, measurable, A, accountable, R, result oriented, and T, time bound. 5 steps to a goal. It doesn't matter as to whether your goal is big or whether your goal is small. Dr. Steve Price wrote a book, very small book, and it's no longer, I think, available in print form, but I think the Kindle edition is still there. It's called Dream Making in a Dream Taking World. I will type out the name. So when we look at Dr. Price's work in that book, he very clearly says that it doesn't matter about what's the size of the goal. it must be something that makes me stretch now. It can be small, it can be big, it can be long term, it can be short term, but it must be something for which I am ready to give something up. So in that case, the first question that you need to ask is, whatever I'm doing right now, is it helping me to acquire something, some knowledge, some attitude, some skill? When we put all three together, knowledge, attitude, skill, we call it competency. So those of you who are doing your specialization in HR, you will understand this. When we put together the attitude, knowledge, and skill, we call it a competency. And in that competency, is it pushing me a little forward, taking me a little ahead towards my goal? That, if it is, great. It doesn't matter whether you are right now in a job and you don't want a job, or right now you are in a business and you don't want to be in business. It doesn't matter. Are you learning? Are you going towards your goal? In that, there are, what do I need to learn? There are some specific things that you need to learn if you want to work to create value. The first, today's world is a collaborative world. So the first one, and I will keep typing this so you can write it out, is called teamwork. First one is teamwork. We understand what it is, but we will get into far deeper analysis of teamwork a little later. The second one is called responsibility. The second one is called responsibility. Now, this is also very interesting. This has a different word and different meaning from what you normally know. The third is called commercial awareness. Sorry for the misspelling. I saw that it's misspelled, but then I'm not wasting time to correct it. The fourth is called decision making. Decision making, people need to be able to take decisions. The next one is called communication. The next one is trustworthiness. Then is ethics. And lastly, effort orientation. Earlier, just even 5-10 years back, people used to talk about result orientation. Now people are saying, no, people, we have understood that what Dr. Parekh has been going around telling, that was told by Sri Krishna 5,000 years ago, that it is only the input that is important. So let us have result orientation. And we have already looked at that. We have already seen that we are talking of yoga karmasu kaushalam. So here is the list of 8 basic competencies that are required for you to be able to create value, whether in your job or whether in your business or whether in your further studies. So where did we start from? We started from the fact that we needed to first and foremost understand that it doesn't matter whether we are going to move out from here into a job or into business or into further studies. What is important is, number one, we must have very clearly defined values for ourselves. We must say, these are the lines within which I function. This is something that I will not do. That is what your values will do. The second is to understand that value is nothing but a difference between effort and outcome. So if outcome is greater than effort, then we have created value. So when we want to see that we want to create value, we also then move back from there and say that value is an outcome. Value is a derived number coming from the effort. So if the effort is in the right direction, in the right way, and is consistent, then we will definitely get some result. And we will talk about getting results also a little later. So now when we look at this, we say that we need to put in our best. But we need to put in our best in which direction? Number one, in whatever we are doing right now. We need to put in our best. But why? Because it is taking us towards our goal. Oh, but I don't have a goal. No. It is first important to set a goal. To set a goal, we must be specific, measurable. It must be accountable. I must be accountable for that goal. And then it must be result oriented. So it must yield some results. It must be orienting towards result. It may not yield the result. And it must be time bound. So that goal must be achievable within a particular time frame. Otherwise, it's a perpetual goal, right? So, so these are the areas that we have covered till now. Are there any questions? Are there any comments that we want to discuss before we move on to the next part of what we are talking about, which is to go into detail of these 8 basic competencies and then move forward from there? I'll wait for a minute or so for you to tell me as to, is there any question, any doubt, any comment that you want to make? Teachers, professors, seniors who are also there in this session, please feel free to contribute. Your views, your inputs are also equally important. Okay, Simran doesn't have a question. Right. So, well, you can keep going back and writing out questions if you want to at any given point of time. But let's start off and we look at the first one, and that is called teamwork. What do you understand as teamwork? This is a normally used, everyday used term. Everybody talks about teamwork. What is teamwork? And please don't tell me together everybody achieves more. Yes, I know that. That is an acronym. All those popular things, please forget. What is teamwork? What is the meaning of teamwork? I'm going to wait for an answer, at least one answer. What is the meaning of teamwork? Unified effort, collaboration. Pratik, Akanksha, all of you are using words. What do they mean? To come across different opinions to get the best result. Okay, working together to achieve a goal. Okay, one concept has been come across, that it has to have more than one person. A team has to have more than one person. So I think Simran's statement that it is a team of more than 2 people, actually more than one person, that's number one. And number two, she's also brought out one very important point, which is to say that it has to have a common goal. So 2 things that have come out. Number one, that it has more than one person, and 2, that it has a common goal. What else? Pragya, you are talking of maintaining communication and connection with a group of people. That's the how we will make the team work. What is teamwork? Define teamwork. Shivam, efficient utilization of resources may or may not happen. Group unity. Oh, you haven't come across teams. Then in teams, all we do is fight. Working together for an achievement of goal, for solving all the problems together. Well, the first problem is that I'm in a team, so that itself is a big problem. That's how they work. Goal congruency, yes, Mr. Viswas, there is congruency, and I'll come back to that word. Yes, Mr. Viswas, thank you. That's where I was going to start with. The first thing that is that when we work in a team, the first thing that is important is, do we share some values that work together for all of us? Because if our values are not shared, then we can never come together in a team. So that's the first important lesson that we need to learn. The second is that, yes, it has to have a common goal. But the most important thing here is that there is individual goal also, which is subsumed, eaten up, swallowed by the team goal. So there is a conflict of interest, so to speak, between what I want to achieve in my own sphere, whether it's my personal life, whether it's whatever, or what I want to achieve as a team, as a unit. Let's take a family unit. And let me give this example, then we'll take a break. Is that in a family unit, there's a father, there's a mother, there are two children. Each of them has an individual goal that he is working towards, right? So one of the goals of the father is that he wants to take a vacation at once in 6 months. And his vacation is intended to give him what is called me time, because all the time he is working with people and he comes back home and then he's also still with people. So he wants me time. So his personal goal is me time. The family unit, however, does not work with me time, because if everybody is doing me time, then the family does not come together as a unit. Now there is a dichotomy, a conflict of interest. Now this is very easy to solve, and I've brought this up here because we are going to do an exercise where we will have a similar conflict, which is going to be a little tougher. We will meet in exactly 5 minutes from now. It's 11:47 by my watch here. We'll convene again at 11:52. Okay, friends, back again. So here is a teamwork dilemma. The team, this is a team of players, and the team had a goal to win. Obviously, the common goal is that we should all play together to win, and so on and so forth. Now, the team won. They have played and they won. In the process of winning, one player had cheated, and nobody saw him cheat, him or her. Nobody saw him or her cheat, excepting you. What do you do? Here is your dilemma. Think, friends. The team has won. One player has cheated. You have seen the player cheat. Nobody else has seen. Waiting for answers. Still waiting. Anybody? No answers. Can't comment meaning, Simran, are you saying that I will not complain, for example? That's what you're saying. Okay. Trinity is saying I will guide him not to do this for the next time. Wonderful. Firstly, I will inform my unit about it, then we can decide on a collective action. Okay. So where is the conflict here? The conflict here is not in the team. The conflict here is actually between you, your values, and the team outcome. Your values, and let us say that honesty is a big value that you are going to live with. Honesty is a huge value that it's your value, you live by it, right? Now you are so therefore you live by your value of honesty. Then the conflict is between your values and team result. And between the two, it is normal for values to win over value. Between values and value, values takes higher position. So while you can sit with him and explain to him, you can guide him not to do it for the next time. So what you are saying is, I don't mind winning, even if it is but through cheating, but I prefer not to do it. Is that what you're saying? Now, if that's not what you're saying, and I'm not judging any one of you, if that's not what you're saying, then you stand up and say, sorry, we don't win. We have not won. You should go back and look at cricket matches that used to be played before the one-day cricket happened. And you will see, which is why in English, there is a term which says, that's not cricket. It basically meant that if you were on the cricket field, you knew for certain whether the ball hit your pad or not. So when there was an LBW appeal and the umpire hadn't seen it, it didn't matter. If the player knew that it had hit the pad and it would have hit the wicket, you are LBW and you walk out. That was the values that people used to live by. Now, I'm not saying that that was true in the past and it's not true now. I'm not judging that either. All I'm saying is that these are conflicts that arise when we try to learn teamwork. The second conflict that arises is a more intricate sort of conflict. Let's say that you have a target, you have to achieve a certain goal, sales goal, right? You have to sell X. You are not anywhere near your goal. The team also has not achieved their goal. Now, a friend of yours comes and says that I am way below my target, and I need your help to close a particular deal. What do? Do you go out and achieve your goal, or do you go out and try and help your partner to achieve his goal? We go back to chapter 2, verse 50. You need to question what am I doing that is best? Am I putting in my best? That's the first question you need to answer. When you examine that question, you will understand that teamwork here could also mean roping in other resources. Teamwork could mean roping in the boss, for example. Teamwork could mean that we share the work in a particular way that divides the work amongst people. So by applying our mind in that particular direction, we can solve these dilemmas of teamwork. So it's very important that in this today's collaborative world, see, the earlier world, the world I grew up in was very competitive. The world you are growing up in is far more collaborative, far more richer, far more engaged with people. So in that, therefore, my suggestion is that we need to examine ourselves when we look at teamwork. So that's my first competency that we were talking about. The second one that we are going to look at is called the question of responsibility. Now, when we look at responsibility, what is the meaning of the word responsibility? Anybody? I like to ask people for meanings because it is important that we do. Shravanam is very good, listening. Mananan means to reflect. So when I ask for definitions, I start getting a lot of mental gymnastics happening. So what is responsibility? Fine, Pratik, I realized my duty. What does realize? I know, oh, okay, it is my duty to bring up my son. And I sit there on this chair. Kartavya, translation, wonderful. Responsibility is equal to ownership. No, it's not. Taking action with realizing my part of a job. Trinity, it's not accountability, and I will talk about that. Obligation of an individual. Okay, let's stop for a minute here. The word responsibility means the ability to respond, the duty to respond to a particular situation. So, and it's not accountability. Let me give a very, very interesting example, and you will become very clear as to what is responsibility and what is accountability. Let's say that my son is very young, and he's not, but let's say that he's very young, and he's in class 6 or 7 or whatever. What is his responsibility? What is his responsibility? Siddhartha, being truthful is a value. It's the value that I live by. It has nothing to do with responsibility. My son is in class 6 or 7. What is his responsibility? To study, yes, right? Right. If he does not study, who pays? If he does not study, who pays? Think. No, Shalini, Ragi, no. He doesn't pay. I pay. He is not bothered. He is not studying. For that matter, yes, parents have to pay, right? No, it's not about that. You see, Siddharth, let me give you a real-time example. Okay, my son came to me. He was a good student, not a very bad student, not a class topper, and we never bothered. So he used to come third, fourth, fifth in class. Now one day he came to me. He was in class 7, and he said he was at that time very short. He was the shortest amongst the shortest in his class. He's very tall now, but he was very short that time. So he came to me when he was in class 7, and he said, Papa, I'm not going to give the final exam. So obviously I was shocked. So I said, okay, why? Listen, you lose 1 year. See, a year is a concept of time which he doesn't understand at that age. So he says, Papa, they are going to teach the same things in the next year. I've already learned everything. So without studying, I'll come first. Number 1. Number 2, all the children who will come from the next class, they will be younger than me by 1 year. So I will be the tallest in the class. So what is his motivation? To come first without studying and to be the tallest in the class. So for him, not studying, he doesn't have to pay. But what will happen is I will have to go for doing PTM and pay extra tuition fees or whatever. I will have to pay. Person who pays, accountable. Person who acts, responsible. The challenge in today's world that I see is that people are not ready to take responsibility, which means they don't act. They're ready to give ideas. So, and this is very Calcutta. I grew up in Calcutta. So this is very much Parar Konai Adda. And you solve the world's problems. But are you ready to do something? So there is a particular website that I have suggested on my PPT, which I'm sure will be shared by you, by Mr. Biswas or somebody else in the team. And I call it Finishtiative. I call it Finishtiative. The ability to finish what I started. The ability to make sure that I take it to the end. It involves a lot of things like proactiveness, ownership. So these ownership, not of the result, ownership of the action. I own the action. So I am going to basically look for the particular result. I'm going to work towards the particular result. The next one is called commercial awareness. Now, unfortunate. Number 1, people have stopped reading. Number 2, even if they read, the attention span is very limited. So they want news bites. Now, commercial awareness is a must for being employable or to create value even if you're in business. When we say commercial awareness, what newspapers do you read, friends? Did you? So, okay, sorry, coming back to the responsibility part, some of you may not have been convinced, but let's put it like this. If you go to a manufacturing firm, the degree of error that is allowed, right, in maybe as low as say 1% or 2%. Now, I gave my CA finals 2 years after I finished my intern, which means basically that I lost 2 years because I should have finished it within 6 months. Now, if I lost 2 years and I'm 60 now, so 2 upon 60, 1 upon 30, that's about 3%, right? I've lost 3% of my life by losing that particular period of time. Acceptable margin of error, right? I wasn't accountable. I didn't have to pay. So responsibility and accountability are very different. I need to take action is responsibility. Now coming back to commercial awareness, what sort of newspapers do you read? Be honest, please. If you don't read newspapers, or I mean, don't watch newspapers online, doesn't matter. But if you do, please tell me the names. And Mr. Biswas, can you just beam that particular page, commercial awareness? I have a picture over there which we need to see. It's a very interesting picture.
Shall I share the screen on the picture?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Is it the picture, sir?
I haven't seen it yet. It's coming, I suppose. It will get beamed. Yes. Friends, see this. Any newspaper that you are reading, they are all views papers. They are somebody's views, and they all 90% of what you read over there has negativity. It has no meaning to me. Tamil Nadu Congress chief hurt by DMK and turns emotional. So, dash, 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 what? How does it make a difference to me? Whether DMK chief was, the Tamil Nadu Congress chief started crying, or whether he did not, it does not make a difference to me. Ex-TMC MP Trivedi joins BJP. It is a golden moment. Brilliant. Let us all clap for it. How does it affect me? How does it affect my business? How does it affect my job? Naigaon East, 1 and 2 BHK starts at 34 lakhs. So what? How does it affect me? Now, you see, the point is either there is factual reporting or there is views reporting, and most of it is negative in nature. So what do we need to do? Mr. Biswas, you can stop sharing, please. So what is it that we really need to do? We need to understand how do we understand what is called business environment. There is a model for it. It's called PESTLE, P-E-S-T-L-E. PESTLE basically means, the P stands for, and I'm going to keep typing, political, economic, social, technological, legal, and ecological. These are the 6 areas where changes can occur, and those changes affect me. Now, political changes can affect me. Not whether somebody is emotionally crying or not crying, but for example, let us say that Mr. Trivedi joined BJP, then how does that change affect me? Makes me commercially aware. How does the interest rate change, or how does the price of Bitcoin influence the price of international trade? Makes me commercially aware. How do social interactions through Twitter make my business easier? Makes me commercially aware. That's the question that I want you to ask for yourselves, my friends. So the third thing that we talked about was commercial awareness. The first we was talking about was teamwork. The second was responsibility. And the third was commercial awareness. The fourth, and this is somewhere where I find the largest amount of difficulty, even at senior levels. and this is called decision making. Decision making means it automatically means risk taking. Because you see, what happens is, the moment I take a decision, I become accountable for that decision. And therefore, we like to say, I would like to put my gun on somebody else's shoulder and fire from there. So I am not accountable. So when somebody else fires back, that man's body is in front of me. So blame game is much easier. We like to play the blame game. So he decided, so I don't like to take decisions. Because in the commercial world, it's called save my ass. So in that process of trying to save my backside, I am continuously pushing decisions away from myself. But if we do not take decisions, if we do not associate with the risk involved in taking that decision, then we can never succeed. So, you know, when I'm on the interviewing panel for a lot of companies, I'm sorry, I used to be on an interviewing panel with a lot of companies pre-lockdown. Now, in those interviewing panels, one of the things that we look for when we are looking for people is, are you able to take a risk? Are you able to stand up for yourself and say, I want to take a decision like this? It may be a small decision, it may be a big decision. We always take decisions every day in our lives. But the moment it comes to a commercial decision, when it comes to a decision that we need to take for our job or for our business, we try to move away from it. So that is the next one. The next competency, in my opinion, is one of the biggest. It's called communication. Now, communication involves basically two things, right? Outward and inward. And honestly, with all the training that you have had in your school, in your college, and in your PGDBM course, the outward has been taken care of. It's sorted. What is a problem is the inward. Somewhere, see, there is reading, there is writing, there is speaking, and there is listening. Did ever anybody in your school, in your college, or in your PGDBM course teach you how to listen? It's not taught. It's presumed that you know how to listen. No, but listening is a skill. And if it's a skill, it can be taught. And without listening, a lot of things like empathy, a lot of things like proper communication, a lot of things like removing misunderstanding will never get removed. So you cannot have empathy if you don't listen. And today, people are saying that leadership is a function of emotional intelligence rather than IQ. So you need to have EQ rather than IQ to become a good leader. So in that perspective, I have a very simple rule for all of you. It's a very simple rule. Listening is a training program that I conduct for over 3 days. It takes 3 days for people to understand how to listen. But right now, I'm going to give you 2 big tips. Number one person's name that I should write out and you can follow is a person you could Google. He is a person who has a lot of videos on listening. His name is Julian Treasure. He's done a lot of TED Talks on listening, and you must listen to one of them. And from him is my first formula for you. It is called rasa. Rasa, you know, understand, it's a Sanskrit word, right? It means juice. So rasa stands for receive. So first and foremost, you receive the message. To receive a message, we need to stop reacting. So the first thing we normally do is to start reacting to anything that comes to us. Instead of that, stop reacting. So you receive the message. The second, rasa A, means to appreciate the message, which means It basically means to say things like, yes. Now, when I keep responding to you, you know that I am listening to you, and therefore you will talk. So receive, approach, appreciate, and then summarize. Because irrespective of whatever we do in listening, my eyes and ears have filters. Why eyes? Because I also listen through body language. Body language is equally important in communication. So my eyes and ears have filters. And these filters, they prevent me from receiving the message exactly as it was intended. So if I summarize and I say, and I typically use this, I say, can I just paraphrase what you have just now said? Make sure that I am on the same page as you. And then I tell him in brief what I have understood, which is called summarize. And then finally, ask. Rasa. Receive, appreciate, summarize, and ask. Ask. So, have I understood this right? Is there something you would like to add? Now, when I do this, listening gets completed. So I gave you two tips now. Number one, I want you to possibly look at Julian Treasure and look at a number of his videos where he's talked about listening. And the second is, this is a formula from him itself. It's called Rasa. And in that formula, one of the things I've told you, stop reacting. So the first thing you should do is, it doesn't matter what the statement that has come to you from somebody. The first thing you do is say 1, 2, 3, 4, do 10, count 10 before you open your mouth. And automatically you will find that whatever has been said will get absorbed and your reaction will be far more controlled. And 80% of all the fights that you have with your friends, your brothers, your parents, your teachers, all of them will get solved. So count 10. So the next one, we said, is communication. After communication is trustworthiness. Now, this is another interesting one. When we say trustworthiness, can people please again respond and give me an understanding of what you mean by trustworthiness? What is your definition? What is trustworthy? To whom we share anything without thinking, that is being in love. That's not trustworthy. Maybe to depend upon. Okay. Ahana, you are partially there. Anybody else? Means consider as a person best at keeping secrets. Okay, being truthful. Okay, again, truthful. Don't worry about being truthful. That is a value that you live by, and that has nothing to do with being trustworthy. I'll give a let me give an example to explain this. My driver, he's been with me for now nearly 40 years, right? He hasn't. I'm just using an example. This is an example. Okay. So my driver has been with me. Actually, he's been with me for more than 20 years now, but let's say that he's been with me for 40 years. My son is about 22, 23 years old. So he was around when my son was born, already there with me for 17 years. When I get into the car, the moment I get into the car, I sit in the back seat, and before the car has left the garage, I go to sleep. So question, do I trust my driver? Yes, no. At this point of time, he has been working with me for 17 years. I get into the car and I go to sleep. Do I trust him? Yes, no. Okay, everybody's saying yes. Now, my son is born and he is 3 months old or 4 months old, whatever. And I convince my wife that you've had a long pregnancy, you haven't gone out anywhere, now the son is born and he has started stabilizing, he has started taking bottle feed. So let me take you out for a drive. No, who will look after the child? Our driver. He can sit here. Will you agree? How many of you will agree that I can give my child who is 4 months old to my driver? But just now, Simran, you said that yes, I trust him. So what's the problem? You see, first and foremost, trust is not about a person. Trust is about a role that you play. For example, the best salesperson in the organization cannot be trusted to create a computer program. So there are two factors to trust. The first is called ability, and the second is called intention. Let me give an example. This is real life. My son, when he was about 4.5, 5 years old, we were playing a small game. He would climb up on there was a broken wall, and he would climb up and he would go right on the top of the wall. And from there, he would jump and say, Papa, catch. And I would catch him. And I would put him down. His cousin, my brother's daughter, she came. She's 2 years older to him. And she said, this is fun, this is fun. Chotu, jump, I'm going to catch you. Will Chotu jump? Chotu will not jump. Why? Because he does not trust the ability. He has no problem with intention. He knows his sister loves him. So he knows that his sister will put 100% effort in trying to catch him. But there is a doubt in ability. Now another friend of mine comes. He is a big hatta-gatta friend of mine. He comes. My son has never seen him before. And this friend comes and says, okay, Chotu, you jump. I'm going to catch you. Again, he will not jump because he says, I don't know this man. So I don't know what his intention is. He looks bigger and stronger than my father, and I know that he may be able to catch me, but suppose he removes his hand. So trustworthiness, when I use the word, I'm saying, therefore, you have to make yourself trustworthy in two ways. One, develop the ability to carry out the role that you are in. And two, display your intention to do that role with your 100%. These two together make you trustworthy. Next competency, ethics. Now, I'm not going to talk about ethics. The simple thing is, I want you to read a book. It's by a person called James Collins, James C. Collins. And the name of the book is called Good to Great. There is nothing beyond this book that I can teach you about ethics. It talks about how the values of ethical behavior made certain companies good to great. The importance of process, the importance of the values, the importance of the ethical behavior ultimately made businesses sustainable over a long period of time. Whether it's a job or whether it's business, their values The strength of the values makes it sustainable. And the last one is called effort orientation. In effort orientation, I have a very simple rule. You see, in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 6, verse 5, it says, Uddharet atmana atmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhuho atmaiva ripuratmanaha. What it says is, raise yourself by yourself. Don't depend upon anybody else. Don't let yourself fall down, because you alone are your own best friend and you alone can be your worst enemy. So therefore, put in your 100% in the effort. So the Bhagavad Gita very clearly says this. So therefore, I normally say, people say, set your goals, drive towards the goals. I have a different say. I say, friends, fall in love. Just fall in love. Just get into whatever you're doing with your 100%. It does require a shift in attitude. It does require a conscious effort. But the moment you are ready to put that in, you will see not only your professional world change, but your personal self to grow into a far more complete, whole, rounded personality. So I'm going to wait now for a few questions. My talk has ended, and we will end the session with a particular invocation. But after that, before that, if there are any doubts, questions, insights, comments, arguments, we have about 10 minutes time that we can use to make up for that. It seems nobody has any comments or any.
Students, if you have any questions, you can please type in the chat box. I will shortly share the PPT which sir has shared with me, with you, with the permission of sir.
Yes, please. Go ahead, share it. It's
okay.
very public share.
Okay. So it's now my turn to formally give a vote of thanks.
So before the vote of thanks, let me formally end the session from my side. Let me end this with an invocation that, again, from the Taittiriya Upanishad, which basically says, Sahano Yashaha Sahano Brahma Varchasam Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. What the mantra says is, let us become glorious together and let us find growth in ourselves. Let us have Brahma realization together, which means to grow into being a complete human being together. So that is the invocation that we want to end this. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you for some of you had very interesting insights. So thank you very much, and all over to you, Mr. Biswas.
Yeah, it's my really privilege to give a vote of thanks to such an important and very interesting, thought-provoking and knowledgeable session. So I am running short of words to explain, but in any way, it is a formal vote of thanks. So I would start with a very brief summary of what Sir has said. Sir has started his session with a beautiful explanation of learning through 3 stages, like listening, then introspection or reflection, and then application. Then sir went to a differentiation between values and value. Most often we use these words interchangeably, but there is a huge difference between values and value that which we came to know during today's session. Values are the basic principles that with which we live. We means organization or individual. In this context, sir has explained beautifully the concept of TAJ, that is trust, adaptability, and joy. And core values of the individual should be matched to have societal interactions. Then sir explained the term value, which is a relationship between effort and outcome. In line with the learnings from Bhagavad Gita, sir has demonstrated how one can add value and become successful. In order to do that, everyone should give his or her best every day, change the attitude, and set smart goal. In this context, sir has explained smart goal in a different way, very interesting way. It says specific, measurable, accountable, and result oriented and time bound. And in this context, one must build competencies in terms of right knowledge, right attitude, and right skills. And then sir talked about important elements for success, which entails teamwork, responsibility, commercial awareness, decision making, communication, trustworthiness, ethics, and effort orientation. Sir has beautifully explained all these elements with specific examples, and we are happy to listen to sir's explanation. And I find that most of us are responding automatically with the questions raised by sir. In this context, I personally came to know a very innovative thinking or interesting thought that is called Finitiative. So yeah, as the session progressed, sir explained all these elements beautifully with example, with the interactive session. Overall, it's a very learning, interesting and interactive session that we have had with sir. And we would love to listen to sir again and again. And thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your thoughts, with your explanations. I'm sure that our students have learned a lot. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity also, and I loved the fact that there was so much of interaction. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Parekh. And it was so interesting. It was so interesting that we learned a lot. And in future, we also invite you so that our students will also learn something. And your that thought-provoking lecture session was also interesting. You quote many things from the Bhagavad Gita. We learned a lot, and it was so good. The attitude formation, how one can that compete in this competitive world. That the students also learned many things. We also learned. Our professor personally, me also. I also learned many things from you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Parekh. And I also invite you, and we are now friends, our Calcutta Business School, and also we also want to invite you when there will be a time that students, teachers, and there will be we want that personality like you will also enlighten us in the form of, in the way of enhancement of domain knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.